Hey y'all, welcome to another motivational message. Today is Tuesday, December the 7th. I know y'all are sick of me because what started out as Motivational Monday done turned into Testimony Tuesday or Tell It All Tuesday, as my aunt says. I don't know, but we gonna get this together. We gonna get it together. But nevertheless, this is still a motivational message for your week. So, of course, new hair, guys. New hair. I don't think I've been doing braids ever since I've been doing this. So, this is the first time you guys get to see my hair, guys. New shirt alert also. So we got Church Girls Slay Demons and Fashion, baby. So when you know your authority that you walk in, and you know that you tread over the heads of serpents and scorpions, and you have all power over the enemy, you ain't got no problem slaying no demons and being cute doing it. So this shirt is definitely available on Shelena's.com. So get your mama, your sister, your auntie, your niece, whatever. Get them a Church Girl Slay Demons and Fashion. Go ahead and be a walking billboard to let the enemy know, do not play with me. Don't get twisted by these heels I got on or this lipstick that I got on. Don't get it twisted. I still will slay some demons, okay? So definitely on ShelenaDevette.com, guys, under tops, or you can type hoodies in the search bar, whatever. But go ahead and go grab you one, okay? Go grab you one, sis. Couple church announcements. Listen, so we started our first week of the Release Boot Camp. Baby, when I tell y'all, that joint was some fire on Thursday. Like, God completely blew my mind on Thursday with this release boot camp. So I just know that in these next 6 weeks that God is about to set some women free. I know that he is about to break some chains and release them from bondage, allow them to drop this weight they have been carrying for years. Like, I just know the anointing that is on this boot camp and of the release that is going to take place. So listen, if you didn't get in this week, if you didn't get in on this round, we're definitely going to do it again, probably towards the end of January. But if you didn't get in this time, make sure you get in on the next round, because when y'all hear these testimonies, when you hear these women talk about how they were set free during this next 6 weeks, baby, you not gonna want to miss it. If you tired of literally carrying the weight, being heavy, being burdened, you need to tap into the next round of this boot camp. You definitely need to tap in. Do not miss it. Do not continue to carry the weight that you have been carrying, but I want you to be the woman that God has literally designed you to be before you were even in your mother's womb. And that is what we're doing. We taking off the mask. We taking off this weight in this boot camp, and we are letting the devil know we did not come to play. We did not come to play. These women are ready. They're tired, and they are ready to step into what God has called them to step in. They're ready to get everything that God has said that they could have. So if you ain't tapping this 6 weeks, make sure you tap in on the next one, okay? So I'll let y'all know that date once we start wrapping up this one. But hopefully I can get a couple of the girls to come on here so they can discuss their experience. It's a little different. Y'all see me on YouTube, it's a little different interacting with me one-on-one. So, and y'all know my personality is through the roof sometimes. It really is. It's really through the roof. But I digress. Anyway, next church announcement. Oh, so this Sunday, everybody say this Sunday. That's what they do in church. Everybody say this Sunday. Look to your neighbor, say this Sunday, your girl has to minister the word. So make sure y'all, if you in the Roanoke area, pull up. Go ahead and pull up 3433 Ferncliff Avenue, Kingdom Harvest Church International. Pull up on me at 9 o'clock. You know, if y'all like to sleep in a little bit, you make it 9:30, you still gonna be semi on time, but Just pull up. If you're not in the area, you can go on Facebook to the Kingdom Harvest Church International Facebook page, and you can watch it there. But if you follow me on Facebook, I am going to share it on my Facebook, so you'll be able to watch it if you are on my Facebook page. But if you are in the area, pull up. You do not need your Sunday's best. You don't need no suit and tie. Just pull up as you are. Like, I might throw this in the washer and dryer and pull this out on Sunday so we can let the devil know we will be slaying demons from the pulpit. We will be slaying demons from the pulpit. Do not play. So grab your pair of jeans, grab your hoodie, grab your t-shirt, grab your nice little button up, whatever. Pull up on me this Sunday, 9 a.m. at Kingdom Harvest Church International, 3433 Ferncliff Avenue, near the Burlington Coat Factory. All right, so that's all for our church announcements on today. I hope everybody has had a bomb week so far. I hope you had a good week last week. But today we are going to talk about taking the road less traveled. And I say we're taking the road less traveled because you are meant to be set apart. Your journey is not going to look like anybody else's journey. This road of life that you are taking does not match anybody else's life. You can mimic whoever you want. You can try to use their blueprint to get to wherever you got to go, but it is not going to give you the same result because you are unique, you are different, and God has called you to a specific group of people to connect to and to impact. So therefore, your journey is not going to look like the next person's. And a lot of times that road can be very, very lonely when you are walking in the will of God. When you're walking in what God has called you to do, it's going to require you to be alone sometimes, and a lot of times you're not going to have people around to give you direction because God wants to make sure that you are hearing him and only him, and that nobody else gets the credit. So as you all know, if you've been listening to me for a while, you know that I grew up in a small town. I actually live in a small town now. So I grew up in Salisbury, Maryland. So in Salisbury, you know, when people talk about, you know, it's nothing to do here, I need more opportunity, a lot of times they talk about going to across the bridge, which is in Baltimore or in DC. So here in Roanoke, the same thing, you know, it's not much opportunity, it's nothing here to do, I need to move to a different area. And they talk about going to like Atlanta or Charlotte. So, and it's nothing wrong with those areas. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with those areas. But one thing I do know, that wherever God has planted you, wherever God needs you at, wherever you're destined to be, he will make sure that your gift makes room for you. It doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. When he has a special assignment for your life, he's going to make sure that it gets accomplished no matter where you are at. It has nothing to do with your location, but it has everything to do with your obedience. It has everything to do with you seeking him and seeing where he has you to go, because that is where your fulfillment comes in. And a lot of people want to move to those areas because that's where the crowd is at. That's where everyone is. That is where, you know, the most activity is going on, and it looks like, you know, everybody is living their life in the big areas to where it looks kind of boring in the smaller areas. And sometimes that is not the case. That is not the case, because when you think about it, in the bigger areas, you know, people start to get comfortable. They start to get comfortable with whatever is going on around them. Like let's just say if the whole city is down, let's just like, I'm trying to think of like a scenario. Just say the company systems are down. Okay, I'm fine because everybody is down. And matter of fact, I'm gonna give you the perfect example. The perfect example is that my husband coaches basketball. He coaches basketball, and the girls were supposed to go to a basketball game this past Sunday. Well, the girls didn't go to the basketball game, so somebody called him and they were on the phone, and the other person on the other end of the phone was like, oh shoot. He was like, really? Nobody really showed up to the game, so it really didn't make a difference. Pause. That's when God gave me revelation. And he was like, well, what if the girls did go to the game? Because now they're fine because nobody really showed up. And, you know, we get like that sometimes. Well, nobody else did it, so we really didn't miss anything. But what if they did show up and nobody else showed up? What God... they could have been upgraded. Their seats could have been upgraded to floor seats, or they could have been upgraded to the front row, or because nobody else really showed up, they could have met with the players one-on-one. And we get in these positions where we get comfortable because everybody else is doing the same thing. And as long as everybody else is doing the same thing, then we're okay. If everybody else is down, then I'm down. Like, I'm fine. I can be right here. But what if you stepped outside of that and did what you were called to do if nobody else was going to do it? You never know what upgrade God has waiting for you with you stepping outside of the crowd. See, Deuteronomy 14:2, and I'm going to paraphrase it, says that God has set you apart for to become his holy one, and so that you are his special and treasured possession. So you are designed to be set apart. You're not going to do everything that the crowd does. You're not going to go everywhere that the crowd goes. And that's even with many are called, but few are chosen. When you interview for a job, a lot of people are called for their interview process, but only a very, very few. And sometimes it's even just one person is chosen for the position. You got to realize a lot of people may be going in that direction, but only a few of them are chosen for that specific position. And you have to know, just like the Bible says, that the wide road leads to destruction, but that narrow road is the road that leads to God. That's the road that leads to life, this life that Jesus died for, that you may live and have more abundantly. And we always want to go on the wide road because that is where everybody else is going, but it's not with everybody else that we're supposed to be. We need to be set apart, and we have to go along with that narrow road. And that's where the two cities come in. So like when you go to these Baltimore, DC, Atlanta, Charlotte, these places have like 5 or 6 lane highways. They have 5 or 6 lane highways compared to these small towns that only have 2-way streets. That's the narrow road. That's the set apart road. Because guess what? Even these big cities with 6 or 7 lane highways, they still have traffic jams and they still get stuck and you can't go anywhere. But yet you're in the midst of a crowd, and where you're stuck with everybody else, you're feeling okay. You're okay with being stuck because everybody else is stuck with you. Now, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with going ahead and go and visit those towns, but guess what? When it's time to get out of that traffic jam and when it's time to be unstuck, you have to take a different exit. And when you take that exit to your small town or to your journey of life where there's not a lot of people, you immediately become unstuck because there are not a lot of people on that road going back to that small town. There's not a lot of traffic. There's not a lot of traffic lights, and a lot of times there are not a lot of stores on the way back to that small town. But that allows you to be in connection with God. That gives you more time for meditation. That gives you more time for you. That gives y'all Siri. Let me unplug her real quick. That gives you more time to really focus on God and allow God to minister to your heart. Because guess what? With all that traffic in those 4-lane highways or 5-lane highways, guess what? If you have trouble or you're getting lost, it's easy to ask somebody else for direction and they give it to you. But on those small roads where it's not really no one to ask, it's not really no one to get any information from, you have to depend on God. You have to depend on the voice of God. And God sometimes carries us on these journeys because he doesn't want anybody else to get the credit. He doesn't want anybody else to get the credit for where he's about to carry you. And when you think about the small towns, yeah, there's nothing to do, but sometimes you have to go back to the basics. You have to go back to the foundation. You have to go back to what originally built you. Yes, you moved to a bigger town, but it was that smaller foundation that built you and gave you strength enough to move forward and to move on. And sometimes you have to go back to doing the basics. And that's what we get scared of doing. And we look at the glitz and the glamour, but we forget about the basics in our life. We forget about the foundation that we were raised on. And that's all God is looking for. He's looking for you to stand on a firm foundation. He's not looking for you to go with the crowd. He's not looking for you to follow what everybody else is doing. But he said that the road less traveled is the one that is going to get you to where he has called you to. Because when you follow the road less traveled, you're not following the crowd, but you're following him. You're following exactly what he told you to do. You're following his direction. And it's lonely sometimes. That journey can be very lonely. When you take the road less traveled, it is very lonely because you don't have anybody else, because nobody's really been on that road. They haven't been on the journey that God is trying to put you on. To much is given, much is required. You're going to be required to be in God's presence more. And you can't do that by being distracted by the crowd. You can't do that by being stuck in traffic. But if you're on a steady flow and you're on an uptick and you're in his presence constantly, and it's just it's easier to travel that long, lonely road because you realize that you're never alone. You realize that he said he'll never leave you and that he'll never forsake you, and that he always knows the plans that he has for you that are good and not disaster. So when you know that he knows the plans, it's important that you stay in communication with him, because he has the direction. He has the instructions of everything that you need. So don't get upset when God puts you on this lonely road and you like, look, everybody else is going this way. Why do I gotta go this way? You have a different calling. You have a different destiny. Everybody else may not make it to where God is calling them from because they're following each other. But when you realize that we are all one body, but we all have different parts and different functions of the body, none of us are going in the same direction. All of us are going to eventually split off into different exits, but it's up to you to make sure you hear what exit you're supposed to take off on. You cannot continue to go straight when God is telling you to turn right, because he's trying to take you somewhere else so that you don't get stuck. He doesn't want you to get stuck, and sometimes it does take you on a more scenic route, but that scenic route is going to teach you some things. You're going to learn some things on that scenic route. You know, a lot of times, I think I talked about this in like one of my first podcasts. You know, we want microwave blessings, or we want to hop on an airplane and hurry up and get to our destination, but we miss the little things that God is trying to teach us. We want to go straight from the trial straight to a testimony, but you don't want to learn the teaching in the midst of it. You don't want to go through the process, but it requires you to go through the process in order to reach back and bring somebody else up. You have to go through a process. Everything is not going to be from start to finish, but you have to be willing to endure the middle. And those that endure will reap. You're going to reap if you endure. You will reap if you endure. Are you willing to stand in the process? Are you willing to take this lonely journey where it looks like nobody else is around and nobody else is around to help me? But I'm telling you, it will draw you closer to God. It will draw you closer to his presence. It will draw you closer to your purpose. It's going to draw you closer to your destiny. And a lot of times, it's not going to have you confused. It's not going to have you frustrated. But once you really, really get into the presence of God, and once you lay yourself at his feet, that is where your peace is going to start to come. That is where your joy is starting to be renewed. You don't have to always follow the crowd. Some of us are distracting ourselves with the crowd because we don't want to deal with ourselves. We don't want to deal with our own demons. We don't want to deal with reality. So we surround ourselves with people and other people's problems in order to make ourselves feel better. But that's not the answer, because you still got to go home and lay down and still deal with you when you wake up. And it's a lot of us that wake up in the morning and be like, oh God, why did you even wake me up? And then we go on through the day and do it again, surround ourselves with other people and other people's problems to try to mask what we're doing. But when you're ready to snatch off the band-aid and you're ready to snatch off the mask and really ready to be delivered from what you've been dealing with so you can be set free, that is when you know you are walking into who God has called you to be. When you are ready, you're tired of carrying the weight. You're tired of dealing with the nonsense and the foolishness day after day, and you're tired of the enemy being on your head every single day, and you put your foot down and said, you know what? I don't want to follow everybody else. I don't need to go with everybody else. I need to get on my own journey, and I need to walk in this destiny that God said that I could have. You have to realize that something special. He set you apart for his. I want y'all to go read Deuteronomy 14:2, where he tells you that you are set apart as his special treasure. You have been set apart. Step away from the crowd and walk in what he has called you to walk in. Walk in your calling. Walk in your purpose. Walk in only what you can walk in. Nobody else can walk in your shoes. Baby, nobody else can walk in your your shoes. God created those shoes just for you. You are strong enough to deal with whatever it is that you're dealing with. He seen fit that you were strong enough to, I don't care how many times the enemy tells you that you are not going to make it, that you're not going to make it through this week, you're not going to make it through this day. I don't know why you are still living. God seen fit that you were strong enough to make it. He said you are strong enough to handle you, because he said he's not going to put more on you than you could bear. And because you're still listening to me today, lets me know that you are strong enough to deal with this trial and this test that you in. But if you just endure, you're going to reap. Suffering may last for a little while, but you better believe that God is going to strengthen you. He's going to restore you. He's going to support you, and he's going to put you on a firm foundation. Restoration is coming. It is on its way. It is on its way, and God is strengthening you. He is strengthening you along the way, baby. He is strengthening you along the way. Every day that you're able to endure this is another day that you are getting stronger. It is another day that you are getting stronger. It's another day that you can thank God that I made it and that the enemy did not take me out of here. Because guess what? If God woke you up this morning, there is still something that he needs for you to do. There are still some promises that he said you could have that you have not got yet. You just give God another day. Give him another hour. Give him another second. Give him another minute. I don't know what you got to give him. Just give him what you got, and he's gonna make it more than enough. He's going to increase you along the way. Once you start stepping out and believing God and just thanking him for what he has done, he's gonna give you more along the way than what you started with. He is. I'm not going to preach to y'all today. Oh my God, I'm not going to preach to y'all today. But just know that the road less traveled is your road. It's not going to look like everybody else's. It's not going to sound like everybody else's. It's not going to be the same story as nobody else. Only you know what you've been dealing with. Only you know what is holding you back. Only you know why you following the crowd to try to blend in with everybody when God has set you apart. That's why you can't find nobody else right now that's dealing with what you're dealing with. It seems like you're the only one, even though you're not the only one. But everybody else has a mask on and making it seem like it looks all good. But God is calling you to be set apart. He's calling you to be set apart, because when you are set apart along the way, even though it's not many, it is not many, but he's going to put somebody in your path that is going to uplift you, encourage you, and remind you that you can still make it. That you can still make it. All right, so listen, don't be afraid of the road less traveled. Don't be afraid if it's a lonely road. Don't be afraid if that road ain't got no traffic on it. Don't be mad if it doesn't have any street lights on it, because you got to know that God is with you the entire time. He's not going to leave you nor forsake you. He's not. So that is your weekly motivation, that you do not have to follow the crowd, baby. You don't got to follow the crowd, but pull up on me on Sunday or tune in on the on Facebook. All right? I love you guys. I love you. I love you. I love you. I will see you on next week. How about we just say that? I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.